Hey there folks, and welcome back for another video. And this video is going to be a Q&A segment that I'm going to try to do weekly. Now, a couple of things to put out there at the onset. If you want a response from me, the best way you can get it is to email me at this email address, tsevangelist@live.com, always. I'll usually respond to those emails within a day, unless it's something totally ridiculous or just a personal attack or something that doesn't warrant a response. So if you're looking for a response and you have a question that you want answered, that's the place to send it, tsevangelist@live.com. If you post a comment on YouTube, I may or may not see it, and I may or may not answer it. But what I'm going to try to do is pull some of those questions off from both email, instant messenger, and YouTube comments and respond to them each week, just as sort of a Q&A feature, if you will. And I'll try to do it each week, but I can't promise it. Okay, and this week we'll start out with a question that came to me via email from Dirty Mike. Dirty Mike, good name. It says, you seem to use a different product every day. Do you buy all these products? The answer to that question is mostly yes. Probably 95% of the products that you'll see on this channel, be it razors, brushes, definitely brushes, because there's not very many people sending brushes for trying soaps, aftershaves, are purchased by me. Every now and then, an artisan will send me a new soap to try. I'll use it and I send it out, pass it along. Don't keep it for myself. I buy the vast majority of the products that you see on this channel, and yes, it hurts the wallet. Thank you for the question, Dirty Mike. Next question comes from Carl Friedberg. This was also via email, and he asked, if you could pick only one soap brand, what would it be? That's a very tough question, but a great question, Carl. I would probably pick Katie's Bubbles, and the reason is it has the best combination of scent and performance for me. He has a wide variety of scents. I like most of them, and it's sort of a go-to soap for me, although you haven't seen it used a lot lately because I've been trying a lot of other soaps. But I think if I were put to that question and had to answer it, and I could only choose one, it would be Katie's Bubbles. Thanks for the question, Carl. The next question comes from Michael Chayo, and I hope I'm saying your name right, Mike, but I may not be. And basically, Michael is saying, hello, Chris. I don't know about the other guys, but I prefer when you added the description of the soaps and the ingredients. And then he goes on to say he understands it's a lot of work, but he always appreciated when I did that. Well, Michael, that is a good observation, and I'll explain why I don't do that anymore. For a period of time last year, I decided to do review videos, and if you're doing a review, I think you really need to collect that information and put it somewhere in your content. Now what I'm doing is spotlights where I'm just using a soap or some product, and basically I'm using it blind. And what I mean by that is when I buy the product, I read about it, but by the time it's gotten to me, largely it's forgotten. So I don't remember a lot of times whether it's tallow, whether it's vegan. I don't remember necessarily how it's described. So what I'm trying to do is give you a really genuine response. So when I'm using this product, I'm giving you the scent notes as they're presenting themselves to me, not what the vendor has put in my head. And I make a deliberate effort not to read any more about the product before it arrives, because that tends to give you preconceived notions. When you read a lot about something, then you use it, some of those things tend to creep in. So what I'm trying to do is give you a very genuine response to the product that I'm using, and it's meant to spotlight it, to create awareness, and just to give an initial impressions type of take. It is not a review. I don't call them reviews. My reviews were for a short period of time, maybe 60 days. I called those reviews, and that's when I put the scent description and all that in. For me, it's a lot more fun just to use a soap sort of blind without any preconceived notions, and just to share that with you. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm sorry that it's probably not quite as valuable, but it's just the way I enjoy doing things. So thank you for the question, though, nonetheless, Michael. And we have another question from Ponydeal11, and this was, I think, in regard to one of the Don the Navy Goat explanation videos. And He says, you seem to bring up a service a lot. I've been out since '68, and sometimes I think about it, but I don't say anything. Anyway, he goes on to say that his pa was in World War II, and he didn't talk about it a lot. So he's asking, why do I bring up my service so much? And the answer to that is, first of all, I don't. I bring it up when it is relevant to the conversation in terms of adding perspective, or if it's a holiday like Veterans Day, of course I'll bring it up, and I'll thank fellow veterans. But generally speaking, if we're talking about firearms, if when we were explaining the Don the Navy Goat situation and what it means to a veteran, of course I'm going to bring that up. In other situations where that is relevant, I'll bring it up. But I would probably guess that 97% of my videos, or maybe 98, don't have any mention of veterans. Now, if there's a veteran soap maker, I'll bring that up because I like to buy from veterans. But it is not something that I mention a lot, nor do I want, nor receive any credit for. I was happy to serve, and it is what it is. But what it does tell you when I bring it up is it should give you some perspective, because if you're in military service, it really shapes the way you think, I think, for the rest of your life. That's why I bring it up. However, I don't bring it up a lot. All right, this next question is pretty funny because it says it came from Tom Brim. It was email, but it wasn't Tom Brim's email address, so I'm sure it's somebody trying to be a wise artist, but it is a funny question, so I'll respond to it. It says, from Tom Brim, why is Peter Charcalis too cheap and lazy to send out soap samples? And since he's not going to, can you do it? Well, let me answer the latter part first. No, I'm not going to do it. And to the Peter Charcalis part, Peter is not too cheap nor lazy, but he does work a full-time job. He travels a lot, and he explained in his video the other day that he just doesn't have the time to do it. I imagine he will do it some, but it's a time-consuming thing. And here's my proposition to you, Tom Brim, fake Tom Brim, or suggestion, I should say. There's a lot of money being left on the table there. Why don't you buy the soaps and open up a sample shop and sell them? Since Peter won't, there's an opportunity for you to make money there. So since you think Peter's lazy, and evidently you're probably not, why don't you just buy the soaps and make samples? Seems like a winner for me. The last question is really a good one because it comes from Eric Preston via email, and he says, you put up a lot of crap. I don't know how you do it. And Eric, you're correct, but by and large the response is positive. And the way I deal with the rest is, if it's a legitimate issue or something that I think warrants responding to, I'll respond. And believe me, I don't respond to most of the ridiculous stuff. Like, I'm going to give you an example here of an email I got from a fellow who called himself Rising Bird about 2 weeks ago. And I apologize, there's some coarse language in here that he used, and I'll try to edit it as best I can. It says, you're nothing more than a fat, slap-jawed, inbred redneck son of a B-word who communicates on a third-grade level. Stop embarrassing yourself by making videos. Go have sex with your sister, you stupid B-word. That type of stuff I get on occasion, not a ton. And it comes from a guy by the name of Rising Bird with a fake burner email account. You can't pay attention to that stuff, guys. Seriously. And if you're making videos, it's going to happen now and then, and you just have to laugh it off. You'll find that most of the negative comments that you'll see both on YouTube and in other places, if they're really, really negative and personal, they almost always come from a person with a fake account or an avatar, or not a real person. In my opinion, if you're going to make a personal attack or a critical remark, you should do so as a real individual. So I don't really take it very seriously when it comes from somebody who hides behind an avatar or a fake name. If it were a real individual with their real picture or their real Facebook account, then I think it would warrant a little more consideration. But since they're mostly afraid to even identify who they are, what's the point in getting riled up about that? Life is too short to worry about things like that. Most of the times I'll laugh it off. Every now and then I'll respond to it and basically say, hey, this isn't for you. But you just can't get hung up on that. And I've done jobs before, like when I was in a police, like when I was a police officer and correction officer, where, you know, I was threatened on a daily basis. You know, these internet remarks really don't get me riled up. One time, as I recall, when I was a correctional officer, a gentleman, and keep in mind, this is not over the internet. This is a gentleman standing right here looking, you know, right into your eyes, in your face, who told me he was going to kill me, and then also he was going to dig up my dead grandmothers and all my relatives and have sex with their skulls. And so when a guy looks you in the face like that and tells you when he's this close to you, you take that seriously. But internet stuff, guys, just laugh it off. I mean, these are people who generally are either jealous or they just don't have much going on. So, you know, you let them say what they say and move along. And normally I don't even bother deleting them. I just leave them out there because it's ridiculous. All right, guys. So that concludes the weekly Q&A segment, episode number 1. I want to thank all the folks who sent in material, and I'll try to pick some each week and respond to it. And I hope this has been helpful and maybe a little bit entertaining. And as always, I remind you, keep them up, keep them open, and follow the money to get to the truth.